Alright, let's look at trading the NASDAQ on the 21st. And like most things, we're going to start with the daily. And I like to go back a couple days, but it is interesting to see how history tends to repeat itself over and over again. I really love the completion of these smiles here. A lot of people think, oh well, you know, there's no uniformity, or there's no balance in trading. There's an incredible amount of balance in trading, and there's an incredible amount of information that constantly finds balance. So let's go back a couple days, shall we? So the 21st is there. Let's go back to here, because this is interesting. So if we go back to the 15th, we have a downtrend, right? And then the previous day, so let's pretend this doesn't exist just for a moment. We have this incredible downtrend on a daily, absolutely no green, and then we catch green. We have a bottom, we have a little bit of meat, and we have a top. So, just for a moment, let's see if any of that's relevant. Not yet. So if we look at our previous day, it almost lines up there. Then of course we have the top. Now let's break it down to a smaller time frame. Whoops. Whew. I got the 4-hour time frame. And the 4-hour time frame gives us a little bit more, data than just constant red cruising down. So now we start seeing, different baselines of where the break and the candles are. We have a couple lines to look at. Oops, that didn't work out, did it? No, it did not. Well, yeah, I love this site here. Alright, so let's look at some previous history. And let's look for some baselines here on previous data. So that's a 4-hour. I'm going to go to the hour time frame. Not too much different. Go to the 30. So we have a fill of the smile, and then if I'm looking at my 30-minute time frame, not too much. We got a nice low there, and we just kind of go on this massive uptrend, and we kind of base here on the bottom. So we kind of have like a little touch line here, comes back, touches here, right before we start off the new day. We have support here, and just multiple lines. So let's get into the daily, shall we? So I pretty much wake up, and I like trading the smaller time frames. So one thing we can look at, if we break it down into a 15, and we start looking at the night before, we got a little bit of a gap. But look at that line here, right? That looks interesting to me. It almost ranges really well into there and then stops. I like trading the 15. We can look at the 5. Sometimes the 5 minute will show you a break in a bar that a 15 won't. That, you know, you may have missed, you know, a hell of a good trading opportunity that you can pick up on a 5. You know, if you're playing like different ranges, that is a little different than a 15. So don't short yourself by not looking at different time frames. Let's jump ahead and let's get into our day. Let's look at the 1. And let's break this down a bit, shall we? So here's the beginning of our day. And if we're playing just looking at the 1, we kind of have a baseline here from our previous. Well, I wake up at 7, so we'll just start my day here. So looking at my previous data, though, but here is my bottom line, and that's a pretty decent baseline. A lot of times, this area in here is going to be your buy, and then we have much higher highs, which never really took place, but doesn't always happen, but sometimes we can get a nice buy signal off of our bottom. In our previous day's data, we had a range that was playing within these 2 bars. So just getting into the day, we can see how it plays off. A top bar doesn't break it, right? Holds that line, drops all the way down to our buy bar, which is right here. So if we have no information but this little bit of information here, and we feel fairly comfortable that this was a low, it wouldn't be unheard of to take a buy here. And if we go to a bigger time frame, I like the 15, but it'll probably hold true on other time frames as well. Now if we go back further, of course, you know, here's our bottom line from the previous data. But if we're playing this range here, right? So you have a small tight range here, and you have a touch, and you actually have a gap. We bounce. It almost doesn't break this line, you know, if you're going back from the overnight session, so which is like, you know, 6, it kind of holds true to that line. Is this line bullshit? It could be. But let's take a look at what we get on our 7:30 or 7 a.m. That's kind of when I do my trading, so you guys will be forced to trade with me. As we see, we touch, pulls to the top of this range here, touches right back down again, but it wicks it so fast. It's really hard to catch those wicks. So we're going to go to the 1 minute just for that purpose. Alright, so a nice thing about getting in on what we believe to be a pattern or a similar pattern of an upward movement. So if you look at 7, we almost have a base here, which is close to our previous line. We have a base here, right? 1, 2, so fail, fail, fail. We're not breaking this line yet. We drop all the way down to here. This area in here is probably a safe trade to make. Why is it a safe trade to make? Could it drop down? Hell yes, it could drop down. It's a very high probability. You could do whatever the hell it wants to do. But the reason why I wouldn't mind taking this is because if I'm betting that it's an upward trend, right? I'm not. It's almost foolish to get in here, right? Because I believe that was kind of where I got my downward action. And you can see later on it does break through. But this is such a better entry, because if it does blast down, you've got your stop loss, right? So you take a minimal loss. If it does go the direction we want it to, you're actually getting in at the lows, as opposed to, let's say you bought here, for some reason you're expecting this breakout. You know, you're going to get smoked. You got to eat all this before it goes up. You're better off taking a educated bet based off of a larger time frame. This general area in here, right? So it's playing right within those two bars. We get one touch here as a low. We go back up. We get another touch here. Perfect. That's your trade. And it works out rather well, really. I mean, if you took that, that's the only trade you really needed to make in the day. But it is quite difficult to play that, or to hold it. You have patience of, goodness gracious, masterful patience. So we get our long. Now the question is it going to break this line, right? So we attack once, twice, 3 times, pulls all the way down, goes up. We go next bar up, does break the line. And then now we have a new high on the 15. We've almost established a bar here, but more importantly, we've established from the meat of this bar, that bar. There's our breakdown. We're not getting any lower lows. We're not getting a lower low there on a 15-minute time frame. I'm not getting a lower low here on a 15-minute time frame. So just based off of this little bit of data, bang, bang, a long isn't a bad play right here as well. So let's say you rode that up, wicked it, let's say that shook you, got scared. Getting back in here is not a bad move. We go all the way up, and that would be a 11,226 to 287. Absolutely crushing it, and you can ride that all the way up to this line here. Which is almost the top of the smile, right? And you know I love the smiles. Let me get out of that. So as you can see, going all the way back to the 19th, we're actually completing the smile. Alright, Now we kind of have a different range that we're creating within this area here. Let's jump down to a 5. Kind of almost encapsulates just down there. And we have our highs right about here. So on a 5-minute time period, once we've captured this massive move up, we can see that we're actually basing here. We base here again. So our next trades that we'd be looking for are off this line. And we'd be looking to short, even though it's not the best short. This area. So from here, that's kind of our range. And then it just sputters out. And realistically, we're probably done at 4 p.m. So we're out of that range. So if I was analyzing the data for this, I would say buy, ride it up. If you don't want to hold it, you have another line there which you can get in. If we go back to a 15, which is what I like to trade, you almost never have a reason to get out until you hit this area. Then you base here, and then you're almost playing off this line. And that's it. That's all you need. And you have your multiple levels going on. But for today, those are your trades.